Maurice, Calvin, Scary Gary, ZAC, Preston, and Aaron. In this video, y'all, we're jumping into the conversation of who is the best man or men of Sistas as they show up on screen and in these sisters' lives. What's good, y'all? She gets this Erica Vane coming to you right here on Erica Vane TV with another Sisters video, because what? Erica Vane TV is your #1 source right here on YouTube for all Sisters content and conversations. If you are new, just finding my channel for the first time, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. I promise you are going to love it here. The conversations are intense and thorough. We love to kiki, we might debate, but at the end of the day, it's all love around one of our favorite shows. And as I mentioned in this video, we're talking about the fellas. I posted a poll on the community tab the other day, well actually about 2 weeks ago, so I left plenty of time for everybody to respond. There was 772 votes who voted on who is the best man in Sistas. Now I'm going to go ahead and give this disclaimer, y'all. They actually only give me 5 spots. I wanted to include Maurice, however it only gives me 5 spots, so I couldn't include Maurice. So Maurice will definitely be an honorable mention in this video, because I do think that he is one of the best men of the series. While his character can be a little bit conflicted at times, and I wish Tyler Perry would dive deeper and not rely so heavily on the comedy part, Brian, the actor who plays him, is utterly brilliant. He has beautiful range, and I think that Maurice is a colorful queer character that is definitely needed in media, but also is very, very valuable to Sabrina's storyline on the show. I think that though he has foiled a couple of her romantic plans and has added a little bit of conflict to what could have been, but actually not really, because Calvin and Sabrina were kind of doomed from the jump. He's definitely added conflict and confusion when it comes to Calvin and Sabrina's relationship. At the end of the day, his intentions are always pure, and I low-key think that he's actually Sabrina's best friend, not any other sisters. So, giving the honorable mention to Maurice, not only does he have a strong voice and a full presence about himself, we have seen over the course of the last 4 seasons him take a ride on a pretty authentic looking journey of life. Early on in the series, we got to see, you know, his experience with working a regular job, presenting as a man, but then also doing drag on the weekends, and then the storyline, the toxic, traumatic storyline with that horrible retired football player beating Maurice up and abusing him because he was, you know, flirtatious, and he was definitely interested, but he was definitely homophobic and couldn't figure out the feelings of what was going on with him. And I thought that from that storyline on, and how Maurice showed up both to kind of like retaliate and exact revenge, and to really stand up for himself and not just take it lying down, but then also the conversations around it since then, that's when I knew like I was definitely locked onto Maurice's character. It's only in these recent seasons and episodes when it comes to Maurice with the Q storyline and I'm less interested in what's going on in his storyline, but that's only because I feel like Q is a dead end. I would love for us to refocus energy back toward Maurice and why he is having this unhealthy attachment to Q, why he can't seem to completely sever the ties, and he leaves a little bit of the door cracked when it comes to Q. I think that that is something that's a universal experience that not only queer people might experience, but also straight people experience. I know I have had exes that I have left the door open to, even though, child, it is nothing but dangerous and fire on this end, but in the space of feeling not necessarily desirable, or not necessarily feeling like there's something else coming around for you and this could be it, you kind of like leave the opportunity or the hope there, just in a way of like keeping your options open. And it's really a trauma response to not feeling as loved as you would like to feel. And I think that that would be a beautiful story for us to deep dive into. We've had a few sentimental moments and a few very deep vulnerable moments with Maurice, which I think also is a great way that his character shows up in the series, and another reason why I would pitch him as being the best man or one of the best men on the series. He's complicated, he's flawed, he's funny, but he's loyal and he's loving, and we love to see it. But for the purposes of this video and the purposes of addressing the poll that I did, we're just going to address for the ranking the men who are romantically tied to these sisters. So going back to my poll, y'all, 27% of y'all said that Preston was the best man, 13% said Aaron, 54% said ZAC, 2% said Gary. That 2%, we need to talk. We really need to talk. and 3% said Calvin. Now, I ain't gonna hold y'all. I'm very surprised that Aaron ranked so very low, but I'm not surprised that ZAC ranked very high because he's definitely a fan favorite. It makes complete sense. And a lot of the fans are more so going off of who they like versus who they actually objectively assess and can really honestly speak to their overall character, how they show up in the show, and as a commenter mentioned, their problematic or toxic tendencies, whether they are there or not. Now, I'm going to go in reverse order and giving you my thoughts on it, but before I jump into that, let's look at a couple of the comments that popped up that I thought was super interesting. So GK said, my brain understands which of these men is least problematic. I mean, the bar is really low. ZAC is on probation but doing well. Calvin and Gary next. Aaron or Preston, maybe. Keish says Preston all day, every day. James Jackson says we love ZAC, but Preston has less baggage. Say that. Mimi Loves P says ZAC is a second. He started out raggedy, but is trying to turn it around, and I'm here for growth. Nina Ray says the cowboy. S. Morgan says Aaron is the best man all day, every day. Sharika says, girl, I'm not going to say I don't know. I just know it's not Gary. I think Aaron is thrown off as well. ZAC is great with Fatima. Robin is Robin. Calvin, only God knows. Erica Butt says, I would say ZAC, not because of the money. Out of all the men, he's the most changed. Out of all, we don't know much about Aaron and Gary. It's just red flags. Calvin, I don't care at all about him. And I would like to know more about Preston and his family. Taniqua says definitely Preston. Jamie's Life says Preston. Thank y'all for y'all's comments, and again, hit that subscribe button, turn on your bell notifications so that you don't miss out on any of my videos. But then also, if you're subscribed, you will get these community polls on your timeline and you can vote as well. Okay, so we're gonna start at the pits of hell. We're gonna start at the complete worst. Gary, scary Gary, Gary Borders, Gary the Menace, Gary the Terrorist, Gary the utterly disrespectful, disgusting human being. I don't know how this 2% cultivated the energy to press that button to submit that Gary was one of the best men on Sistas, but you need to go ahead and repent. I ain't even gonna hold you. I'm on your head. There is no way in hell or high heaven that Gary Borders is anybody's best man, as we have seen him up until episode 9 of Sistas, which is, I'm recording this before episode 10 premieres tonight. There's no way. Gary is manipulative. He is selfish. He is narcissistic. He is disrespectful. He is dismissive. He does not actually have a caring, loving bone in his body. Every single thing that he does out of love, as he says, is out of manipulation. It's out of a desire to have control. He does not love Andi, and I don't know why or how. Well, that's actually not even for me to know if we're gonna keep it 100, because I'm not necessarily supposed to understand any and every single thing that's happening, but I do not understand the ministry of people who are enamored and completely distracted by the idea that somebody buying you something actually means that they love you. Those two things do not actually directly correlate. Not automatically, they don't. And not when it comes to Gary Borders. We have watched him cheat on his wife, manhandle and toss his wife off of the top of a parking garage, cheat on Andi, lie to Andi. And I know that's one of the things that they like to run with of, oh, we can't say that Gary ever lied. He never lied. Or Gary literally says, I never lied to you. Really? Well, what was it when you called her a whore? Was that the truth? Huh? When you were slut shaming her for this threesome, everything that you said was the truth? Oh, you never lied about your dirty deeds. You were upfront about your dirty deeds. But you lied to her every single time that you belittled her. Every single time that you attempted to make her feel like she was nothing and or worthless. You gaslit her at every single chance you got. So no, there's nothing great about Gary Borders, and I will continue to say it. I don't care about how much money he has. I don't care about what car he buys, what penthouse he buys, what shoes, bags, and or jewelry he provides. He cannot provide the bare necessities of protection, love, and loyalty. He disgusts me. Now, raising the bar up from the pits of hell, because that's what Gary is. The rest of these guys, they aren't there. And I'm sorry, but Calvin, you will be next in line after Gary, but it's not because of proximity. You are nothing like this man. You are literally not one of the best men, or you are the second to last best man, simply because the list is short, not because you have anything to do or anything like Gary Borders. However, Calvin has a ton of opportunities. Where I struggle with Calvin's character is that we saw a man in the beginning who seemed to be confident in who he was, present himself as he was, and not hide anything, which I 100% respected. He did not hide anything that he felt he would be criticized for, or that he has, experienced some type of wayward looks about in the past. He showed everything from the jump, from the panties to the vibrator. Everything was very clear. He never hid those things, which I appreciate. However, it was very clear to me initially that Calvin and Sabrina are not actually attracted to one another, or maybe Calvin is attracted to Sabrina, but just not with a healthy attraction, and they shouldn't be together for that reason. Where I started to take a turn with Calvin's character is where I felt like he started to get his confidence back after going through this bout with Sabrina of feeling dismissed, of feeling like he just wanted to be accepted for being himself and wanted to make this thing work. And then she's constantly running to her friends and coming up with stuff and believing any and everything that people are saying about him, and they're having a fight about this within their relationship. I feel like he got a second wind of confidence, and then he started to reverse shame her. After the moment that he was found having sex with the girl Peggy, and then he goes to talk to Sabrina at her apartment and he reveals all of the sexual kinky things that he's actually into. The moment that he starts talking about, see, I knew you was going to do this, see, I knew you was going to do that, I felt like he was reverse shaming her and trying to kind of like guilt her into a place of feeling comfortable with something that she was already uncomfortable with. And that to me is a problem. That to me was just another confirmation of y'all are not compatible. Y'all are not compatible physically, y'all are not compatible sexually, y'all are not compatible emotionally. And when I go back to the idea of Calvin actually being attracted to Sabrina, I feel like Calvin might have a toxic tendency of being attracted to people who make him jump through hoops or view him in a certain way, as if part of the attraction is his conquest of convincing this straight woman to believe and to be with him, and then that would be the ultimate partner. And it's like, no, maybe you just need to find a more open-minded or maybe a more fluid woman to be in a relationship with. To me, I started to feel like Calvin had some real feelings for Sabrina, but then as the relationship started to play out, it really started to feel like him competing in the Can I Change Her Mind Olympics, and nobody signed up for that. You shouldn't have signed up for it, Calvin. Sabrina ain't signed up for it, and I damn sure ain't signed up for it as an audience member, and we don't want to see it. So I really think that Calvin is the second to last best man, just because one, this is only the list of 5, and then 2, he has very, very strong issues with how he is showing up within relationships with other women, and I don't think that he stands as strongly as he possibly could within his individuality and for himself and his expression. Sometimes you got to get up and walk away from the table, even if you feel like the feast that's being served looks delicious, because it might taste like. Moving on. Now this is where in the video we are going to start to differ. We have as of yet been in agreement of who the 5th and 4th best men are in the series. However, now I'm going to deviate, and I'm not going to do so easily, y'all. To me it's very hard because each of these men have things about them, whether we know it or we don't know it, and we just kind of have the feeling about it. They all have something. Nobody is perfect. So this is just my opinion. As I mentioned, I gave y'all's general opinion with y'all's voting, but this is my breakdown. And honestly, as I'm recording this, my mind is also starting to change just a little bit when I'm putting my feet to the fire and having to record this and say, okay, this is who number 3 is. All right, in this moment in time, which is leading into episode 10 of season 4 of Sistas, I'm gonna go ahead and say that ZAC is actually holding the number 3 spot. All right, y'all can go ahead and let me have it in the comment section, because y'all tend to do that. You finished? You done? Okay, cool. Let me explain. I think that Zachary has made immense growth. And when I think about my favorite characters of the series, he is my top 2 favorite character on the series. I love his journey. I love his storyline. I love his growth. However, just because he has pulled himself up from the gates of fuckboydom does not mean that he is coasting on easy street in the land of great gentlemen and all things that is fine wine. one thing that I wanted to note is that one of the comments mentioned that ZAC is great with Fatima, and that really sparked something for me, y'all, because ZAC is his best self with Fatima. And if I had to go back and even just looking at season 4 only, the best moments that we see with ZAC, the moments that we find ourselves most endeared to him, most loving of him, most celebratory of him, are the moments when he is with and or doing something for or thinking about and speaking about Fatima. I was very, very off put in the last episode or the previous episodes where he was at the basketball court and he decided to start trying to peacock and throw Karen's name around and put Karen in Aaron's face and make it seem like it was more than what it is, and basically if he wanted it he could have it. I was just like, what in the hell version of the new evolved ZAC is this? Even watching him every time Karen's name is mentioned throw his fist up in the air and throw a little mini tantrum and have a little mini anxiety attack or whatever he got going on, while I know that they have had a traumatic and toxic past, for me ZAC is not done on his healing journey. He still has a ways to go, which is something that I absolutely adore about his journey, because watching him go through that is really, really enjoyable for me. However, he ain't there yet, so he's gonna fall as number 3 for me on the list, just because we have yet to see how he is going to be able to sustain this strong male, poignant male, poised male, powerful male energy outside of being in the proximity or in the thinking or communicating about Fatima. Honestly, when we really go back and think about it, any other scenes that we have seen with ZAC with any other character, he has reverted back to the same Zachary that we have known, whether in his words or his attitude or in his intention. And to me, it's not given super consistent. He's an amazing man within the relationship that is Fatima, but can that translate into the rest of your life? He has yet to show us that, so I'm going to go ahead and give him the number 3 spot. Again, I think that ZAC needs to heal more. I cannot wait till he gets to a much better, clear, healed place, because he's going to need to do so if he's going to be able to co-parent with Karen and not act a monkey fool every time her name is brought up. If he's going to be able to navigate the things that are going on within his life right now, as we see him in the series, he's going to jail behind something that we don't actually know. I can't wait till we find out tonight. I think that he has a ways to go, y'all. Not taking where he's come from him, but he still has a ways to go. So that leaves Aaron and Preston fighting for the number 1 and 2 spots. And who y'all think I'm gonna say? Pause the video and drop in the comment section right now with a timestamp of like, before I play this, Erica, I think that you're about to say so-and-so is number 2. Okay, I would never have believed that I would have said this, but I'm gonna say it. When I'm really sitting and thinking about it right now, y'all, I'm gonna go ahead and give the number 2 spot to Preston. And honestly, Preston would have had the number 1 spot had he not spent the last 4 episodes, or the time between the last 4 to 5 episodes, running around finding every little black girl to make Danni jealous. To me, Preston has been one of the most grounded, intentional, honest, and authentic characters that we have received in this series. And in the matter of season 4, he has taken his rejection and confrontation with Danni, and even with her being wrong, and turned it into an opportunity for him to trollop about and try to passively aggressively get her back by way of using other black bodies. And I don't like that. I don't like that at all. Now, he's at the number 2 spot because I don't think that he's intentionally doing it. I don't think that he realizes what he's doing. I think that he is a hurt man who is lashing out, and thank God his lashing out don't look like what Gary's lashing out looks like. His lashing out looks like trying to occupy his time with other similar women, even though none of them could ever be Danni. I really just would love to see Preston pull Danni aside and them have a real honest conversation where he allows for her to continue to spew out whatever it is. Say everything that you gotta say, Danni. I'm gonna say everything I gotta say. Let's get everything out on the table, because regardless of the conversation of white privilege and her basically attacking him and his trying to get her back and make her jealous, I do feel like that there's something there that can be built off of when it comes to Danni and Preston, and it's something super solid, but they both gotta stop playing games. All right, and then that brings me to the number 1 spot. And again, I would have never thought this, because I have spent a good amount of seasons 1, 2, and part of 3 really wondering Aaron if Aaron is as good as he portrays himself to be. But I am giving him the number one spot because I think that he is showing us a man that, one, we need to see more in the world, and two, is strong enough to support a woman going through some of the most traumatic and troublesome times in her life, but not be, he is overbearing, y'all, but in this way, he's not overbearing enough to prioritize his feelings in the moments where all she can see is her feelings in red. I absolutely love how Aaron has been showing up for Karen in this series, and I know that it looks like she doesn't deserve him and she's taking advantage of his niceness, but to me, y'all, when you are truly a nice, grounded person, you can show up in that way regardless of what the situation is, because that's who you are. A lot of people have spoken on, specifically online, about how Aaron needs to switch it up and he needs to give her back what she's given him. That's not who he is, which is why I put him at this number one spot, because Aaron, even with seeing last week, we saw that he was crying and he was hurt because of how he was rejected in the moment with Karen and how she was speaking, and we get to see some of the weight of, is this his baby, and if he's wondering this and not necessarily getting any answers and what that actually means for him, and also deeply wanting to be in a relationship with this woman and being in love with this woman and knowing that she's not ready. I think that he was also crying in his car just because it is a lot to stay true to who you are in the most trying of circumstances, in the most difficult of circumstances, in the circumstances that really feel like or make you feel like your feelings don't matter. So again, I'm giving Aaron the number one spot. I think that he's one of the most mature men on the show. I think that he's one of the most grounded and present men on the show. And even with his missteps when he, fell off the wagon and him and Karen had sex and all of that, even with those flaws, he still, to me, has shown himself to be a lot more consistent in this good guy narrative that he has definitely communicated than any other man. And not that you have to be a good guy to be the best guy, but I do think that you have to be solid and be exactly who you say you are and continue to show up as that, especially in the trying times. All right, y'all done made it all the way to the end of the video. Go ahead and give me 4 kiss emojis. I'm being very specific because if you got 4 kiss emojis in your comment, I know that you made it all the way to the end of this video, and I gotta show you some extra special real love because you are a real one, and I greatly appreciate you taking the time to listen and hear me out on this. And now it's your turn. Jump down in the comment section and let me know what you think about this ranking, any additional thoughts that you have about the best men and what you feel about their characters. Please take time to leave a thoughtful comment and don't just bash my opinion by giving off some little random, he ain't my fave. I took the time to create this longer video and explain my thoughts, and I would love if you have a disagreeing thought that you actually spend some time and write out what yours is. I will be going live tonight after Sistas if you're watching this on March 9th, Wednesday, when I actually record and upload it. So please join me at 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time so that you can join me in discussing the show. Check out my Sistas playlist if you missed any of the other content that I broke down about the series and what is new and what is going on. I did a breakdown recently of Fatima and all of the synopsis of season 1, and I think that you will love it. It's linked on the screen right now, and I'll see you in the next one.